After moving out, my mother-in-law cheerfully declared over the phone, "Your house is no longer available. I hope you're managing without a place to call home. Hang in there." Her voice, though bright, was laced with an unmistakable edge. I could only manage a nonchalant before adding, "Enjoy your new home." Her response came swiftly, "Yes, thank you, and please, never come back. After all, you'll be getting a divorce soon enough." With that, she hung up. I stood in the airport, momentarily stunned, but instead of the anger I might have expected, a wave of relief washed over me. A small smile crept across my face as I clenched my fist in a triumphant gesture. I felt an unexpected spring in my step as I headed for the exit, feeling utterly victorious. Emma, my husband, David, had been assigned to work abroad right after our wedding, which meant we were forced into a period of separation. Despite our 5-year relationship and living together before marriage, our bond was strong. I trusted David completely and worried only about his well-being while he was away. Our lives were meant to settle into a calm, albeit sometimes lonely, routine. However, that changed drastically when my mother-in-law decided to move into our home. A widow since David was a child, she saw his overseas assignment as an opportunity to impose her own brand of oversight. "I'll be watching you, Emma. I need to make sure you don't stray," she declared, taking up residence in our house without our consent. Her motivation was clear. She had been cheated on and abandoned by David's father, who vanished without a trace. Determined not to let history repeat itself, she took it upon herself to monitor my every move. Her relentless scrutiny made my life unbearable. Despite David's repeated pleas for her to leave, she remained stubborn. "David trusts you too much," she would scoff, "but I know better. A woman like you is bound to cheat." Her baseless accusations were a daily headache. No matter what I did, she linked it to infidelity. She wouldn't even prepare dinner for me, opting instead to cook for herself with the food I had bought. And she didn't bother with grocery shopping, so simply used up the ingredients I had left behind, leaving me stranded when I returned home to find my supplies mysteriously depleted. I tried to voice my frustrations, but my mother-in-law either didn't care or simply ignored me. "I bet you're out dining with your boyfriend, since you're obviously cheating," she would sneer, pushing my patience to its limit. Even when I came home late from work and tried to cook, she'd make a scene, accusing me of infidelity because of the hour. During my busy work periods, when late nights were routine, her constant accusations became unbearable. I was so stressed I felt physically ill. I begged her, "Please, just leave. I'm not cheating. I truly love David." Despite David's efforts to persuade her to leave, she remained adamant. "So you want me out that badly? You must be cheating, after all," she responded, her stubbornness infuriating me even more. One day off, I went out to meet a friend and, predictably, was accused of cheating once more. My mother-in-law seemed fixated on catching me, trailing me in the most conspicuous way. She hid behind lampposts and peered from behind our home's brick wall, making her presence known. I chose to ignore her antics as I met up with my friend Abby at a cafe. As we grumbled about the situation in low voices, a flash of light blinked intermittently. My mother-in-law was taking pictures of us. Abby, a close friend since our student days, noticed and asked suspiciously, "What's that?" I quickly reassured Abby, "No need to get involved. Let's just ignore her." Abby, with her pixie cut and edgy street fashion, looked so androgynous that I joked she might be mistaken for a man. This made Abby laugh heartily, enjoying the absurdity of the situation. To provoke my mother-in-law further, Abby playfully held my hand as a joke. Each time my mother-in-law snapped a photo, her excitement was palpable. Her nostrils flared with glee. I couldn't help but laugh at the ridiculousness of it all. After witnessing her comical surveillance, I felt some of my stress melt away. Abby and I went shopping, and as expected, my mother-in-law trailed us home, still hiding and snapping photos from a distance. As usual, my mother-in-law was lurking behind lampposts and brick walls, trying to catch me in the act. I couldn't help but find the whole situation amusing. Each time I turned a corner, she scurried off to find a new hiding spot, as if we were playing an absurd game of hide and seek. I played along, dodging her and finding her antics increasingly ridiculous. When I finally arrived home and began to take off my shoes, she burst in with the excitement of a child who had just discovered a hidden treasure. "Emma, look, I've got proof of your infidelity," she declared triumphantly, holding up a disposable camera. "I'm going to send these to David. Get ready." I wasn't particularly fazed. "Oh, really? Good luck with that," I replied with a nonchalant shrug, which only seemed to occur more. She buzzed around me like a relentless, nagging child. "Are you okay with this? Your face and his are clearly visible in the photos." I remained calm, replying, "That's fine." The fact that Abby's androgynous look might have led to her being mistaken for a man was unfortunate, but David had met Abby several times before our marriage. Even if my mother-in-law sent photos of Abby and me, David would likely recognize her as just a friend. As I endured my mother-in-law's increasingly childish schemes, I received news of a sudden business trip overseas. It was a disappointment that I wouldn't be able to meet David because the trip was to a different country, but there was no helping it. I informed my mother-in-law about my upcoming departure, knowing it would only add to her already distorted view of our situation. Though I hadn't asked for her opinion, my mother-in-law seemed to have turned my business trip into her own version of a romantic escapade. While I was busy preparing for the trip, she smirked and said, "It'll be a big problem if you come back pregnant from your little romantic getaway. David hasn't seen you in a while, so it won't be easy to pretend the baby is his." Her distasteful imagination was so absurd that it hardly seemed worth arguing. I responded with a practiced nonchalance, "Yes, indeed, but it's a business trip, not a romantic getaway." With that, I left for my trip. The business trip was intense and non-stop, and the days passed in a blur. By the time I returned to the U.S., I was utterly exhausted. My boss, who had also been on the trip, was equally worn out and went straight home. I planned to buy some duty-free sweets before heading back, so I took a moment to rest on a bench. Just then, my phone rang. It was Abby calling with some surprising news. "Welcome back, Emma. There's something you need to know," Abby said when I answered her call. "Your mother came by the company today. It's a place most people don't visit, so I was quite surprised." My blood started to boil at the thought of my mother-in-law showing up uninvited. Abby recounted how she had dealt with this situation and asked if she had been too harsh. I chuckled and replied, "No, I think she got exactly what she deserved." After ending the call with Abby, I was just about to leave when my phone rang again. This time, it was my mother-in-law. "Emma, you should be back from your trip now. Did you enjoy your little affair getaway?" she asked, her tone dripping with sarcasm. I sighed, replying, "It wasn't an affair trip. I didn't particularly enjoy it because it was for work." "Oh, and by the way, I've already sent David the so-called evidence photos," she continued, clearly pleased with herself. I responded with a simple, "I see." As she prattled on, ignoring my indifference, she continued, "Actually, I moved, so your house is no longer there. I sold it. You must be struggling without a place to go, but hang in there." I offered a disinterested in response as she cheerfully continued, "Enjoy your life in your new house. Thank you, and please never come back to our house. After all, you'll be getting a divorce soon." As my mother-in-law hung up, I stood in the airport for a moment, feeling not anger but a surprising sense of joy. I couldn't help but do a small fist pump, feeling a lightness in my step as I prepared to head home. Of course, I was returning to the house my mother-in-law claimed to have sold. The furniture was likely already gone, taken out by her. Although much of the furniture was gone, I accepted it as a severance fee for finally ridding myself of my mother-in-law's presence. I immediately called a locksmith to replace the front door lock, ensuring she couldn't get back in even if she tried. Once that was done, I sprawled out in the living room, basking in the newfound freedom I had finally attained. With a grin, I made another fist pump and shouted, "I did it." The next day, I received a frantic call from my mother-in-law. "What's wrong?" I asked, feigning concern. but there was a hint of malice in my voice. She was trembling as she stammered. Actually, I thought I sold the house, but it turns out I didn't. I think I borrowed money without realizing it. Debt collectors are coming, and it's really scary. That must be terrifying, I replied calmly, hiding my satisfaction. It turns out that the company she unknowingly visited, mistaking it for Abby's family business, was actually a friend for a loan shark operation. Abby had explained that her parents' company, while appearing to be a real estate agency, had a darker side. They had repeatedly told my mother-in-law that she couldn't sell the house because it was in David's name, but she didn't listen. Desperate to sell, she ended up at the wrong company. In her haste, she signed a promissory note, thinking she was selling the house, but she was actually taking on a massive debt. The document obligated her to repay $1,000 every day. She managed to pay off the debt collectors for the first day, but she had no means to keep up with the payments. And now, she was crying to me for help. Please, Emma, you have to help me. The debt collectors are pounding on my door from dawn. It's terrifying I can't sleep, and I don't have any money left. I used to borrow money to buy a new house, so I don't even have any savings. Please, transfer $10,000 to my account every week until I've paid off the debt. I sighed, amused by her desperation. Do you really think you'll ever be able to pay off that debt? Even if we combine my income with David's, it would be impossible to send you that kind of money every week. But I have no other choice. There isn't a job out there where I can earn $1,000 a day, she cried. Well, I replied, half joking, why don't you try talking to the company you borrow money from? Maybe they can introduce you to a job that pays that well. To my surprise, my confused mother-in-law responded, really? Despite everything, David's mother continued to suspect me of infidelity. Curious, I asked David if he had received the so-called evidence photos she claimed to have sent him. Oh, yeah, he replied, as if just remembering, and pulled a photo from his bag. That's Abby. Right, I have no idea why she thought this was proof of anything. He handed me the photo, a beautifully composed shot of Abby and me, taken from behind. The scenery was picturesque, almost like a page from a photo album. Abby, true to form, was playfully making a peace sign behind her back, adding a touch of humor to the image. I actually had a huge fight with my mom over the phone, David continued, his voice tinged with frustration. I told her I cut ties if she kept accusing you, but she wouldn't listen. It really annoyed me, but I thought this was a good picture, so I brought it home. I couldn't help but chuckle at the thought that my mother-in-law might have had a hidden talent for photography. What a waste, I mused, appreciating the unintended artistry of the shot. We owe Abby a lot. We should pay her a proper visit sometime soon, I suggested. Just make sure you don't sign any documents she might hand you, I joked. David laughed. I'll never sign anything she gives me. With that, David and I were finally able to settle into our life as a newlywed couple. Free from the shadow of his mother's suspicions, we didn't know what became of her after everything, but we suspected she was still doing hard labor somewhere in the States. We could probably find out if we asked Abby, but neither of us had any desire to track her down. Instead, we focused on our happiness. Soon after, I gave birth to our first child, and we spent our days basking in the bliss of our new family life.